All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming to this talk. Let's get this show on the road. I asked the team if they could actually dim the lighting because it's going to get moody in here. So thanks for that. Okay. Hey, everyone. My name is Chris Winning, and I'm a game designer at Pickpock. And today I'm going to be talking to you about game design and share some very valuable survival abilities that I've been developing while working there. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to share more about all of the mistakes and the lessons that I've learnt as a game designer, with hopes to leave some Q&A at the end if you have more questions. But if you do see me around the conference, don't hesitate to come in and say hi. All right, let's go. I've worked at Pickpock for 6 years now, and in that time, I've had the opportunity to work on many different games at different stages of development, in different design roles, working with different people. And I've reflected on this time, and I've looked at all the problems, challenges, and lessons, and thought, what is actually something that I should share that is valuable for everyone? And what is something that I need to share with everyone? So looking back, I realized that there was a common thread that connects all of these different experiences and the lessons together. And that thread is the theme of my talk. And it will touch on 4 survival abilities that I'm going to speak to you about today. Right, those 4 abilities are the ability to trust, the ability to adapt, the ability to lead, and the ability to rest. Now, a little caveat, this is not some coaching or inspirational presentation. I'm not Simon Sinek or Tony Robbins because I'm not a very good public speaker. I'm not here to sell you anything or have some hidden agenda or lecture you on anything that you could be doing wrong. This is a talk about how I've developed these abilities and share some examples of the challenges that I faced, which hopefully you can all learn from. So, let's deep dive into the first ability, the ability to trust. So, regardless if you have the perfect plan, flawless design, and all of the experience and research in the world, it won't matter. Because there is one thing that underpins all of your efforts, and that is the ability to trust. If you don't trust the people you are working with, if they don't trust you, and if you don't trust yourself, you will not survive. With no trust, people won't ask for help when they need it. They won't give feedback, they won't share ideas, and they'll avoid speaking up altogether. It can cause leaders to micromanage, you to lose confidence, and for peers to finger point and blame one another, fracturing teams. It can become a horrible situation to be in. Trust is the foundation of any team, and as game designers, we have to be able to trust our teams, and they have to be able to trust us. And looking back, I have let people down, and vice versa. But now I know that trust has to grow over time. But it can only grow if the people you are working with are well-meaning, competent, reliable, and above all, honest. Okay, so how can you start growing trust? The team needs to know if they can depend on you, and you need to know if you can depend on them. And also when people are learning or upskilling. In design, there are so many things that you can learn, and you are going to go outside your comfort zone. Also, no 2 game designers are the same. In fact, it touches on all skills. And programmers, artists, designers, we're all totally different. So take the time to learn about each other's skills and what you want to do, and be honest about it too. A good approach is actually when you join a new team to say, hi everyone, I would like to start working on designing these puzzles. I've never done this before or made puzzles like this. I'm kind of in the deep end here, so please be accommodating for me because I need to learn something new that I haven't done before. Also, I need some help in concepting some ideas for puzzles. Also, taking on a new design task or working with new people, you need to be realistic on what you can actually achieve within the time frame. You can definitely dream big, but keep focused on what is actually achievable and factor in the time it takes to learn something new. Because it's better to deliver than to let the people counting on you down. And regardless if you let people down or not, you have to believe that you and your teammates are well-meaning and doing the best that they can, which is incredibly important in game design. It's all about that recognizing that everyone is at different skill levels with different personalities and experiences, but everyone wants the game to be good. So let's say you start being honest, realistic, and trusting with one another. Now what? Magic. When you and your peers trust each other, you create a safe space where people feel comfortable sharing ideas, taking risks, and making mistakes. This safety allows you to get creative, have fun, and be silly together when making games. And this is why we do this. And when a team trusts each other and is having fun together, then that energy and passion will absolutely shine through into the final product. And these photos are great examples of that. These are some people that I've had the opportunity to work with over those 6 years. I wish I had more photos, but this is all I have. But it just shows that this is what the aim is of working in game design. When you can rely on, listen to, and share with each other, you not only look forward to coming to work with your team, but you will also look back on these times and think, man, that was the absolute best. Why can't it always be like this? Well, that takes us into the next ability, the ability to adapt. Developing a game never goes according to plan, and things will inevitably change, and so will you. On reflecting, I've had to adapt so many times for so many different reasons, like my communication style, problem solving, the tools I use, different countries, features, stages of development, different teams, processes at home, in the office. Because in game design, everything is constantly evolving and changing, and every day you will face an entirely new challenge. So learn to accept your designs are going to change, and there will definitely be many flaws in all of your precious ideas. If you cannot adapt, you will not survive, and you will struggle in working with others when you need to change your designs. When I started, I used to think that changes were always a bad thing, because I perceived that changes and feedback meant I wasn't doing good enough, and I would often feel like I was letting the team down. But since then, I can now say I've adapted to adapting, and this is how you can too. All right, let's get flexible. Keep your designs open for iteration, listen to feedback, and most importantly, do not take the changes personally. And I have to read that last part again because I'm confident that this is the thing that people struggle with. Do not take it personally. Face your fears and get the feedback from others and think critically about it. When you want to train yourself in understanding the why and the motivations behind the feedback to understand and improve your designs. This is such a fundamental skill you need to learn in game design, and I am so thankful I've had the opportunity to learn this from other designers. And you are going to receive lots of feedback, good and bad alike. From the development team, the studio, players, critics, in reviews, surveys, forums, playtests, it comes in from everywhere all the time, and it can be really overwhelming. And in some instances, you may have to pivot, and that really sucks, because that is the nature of game development. So to overcome these changes that are outside of your control, ask questions, observe, and try to keep positive and come up with the best solutions you can to continue to contribute creatively. That was a bit of a tongue twister. So being able to adapt is one of the most powerful abilities that you can have. It's the ability to not only survive change, but to thrive in it. And I can tell you confidently that adaptability will make you so valuable in this industry. And It will make game design exciting as you learn new perspectives and skills all the time. However, a word of caution, there is a serious risk of being too adaptable, too flexible. You can have too many rapid, careless changes, exhausting and frustrating the team, leading you all to burnout from redoing work over and over. You can find yourself with long lists of overscoped features, poorly thought through ideas, which can cause you to become confused and missing deadlines. So, yes, you need to adapt, but most importantly, you need to learn to adapt for the right reasons. Because the team is trusting you to make the best decisions possible, which leads us into the next ability, the ability to lead. And this is where things get really difficult because it's different for everyone. And I have so much to share about this, but I have a limited amount of time. So I'm just going to focus on how I've approached this and just keep things practical. A game is a very chaotic thing to build, with a lot of different moving parts, perspectives, and ideas coming in from anyone and everyone who has influence on the game's development. I know this now better than most. In fact, I don't want to lead anymore because of how chaotic it can become. But without a lead, the team is not going to survive. Because a lead is there to help ensure that everyone understands the goal and the constraints and keeps people focused on it. They are there to make decisions and understand the reasoning behind those decisions. You have to speak up, use your imagination, and own it if you are a lead. And yes, great ideas can come in from anywhere, but it is a lead's job to make sure that they are achievable and are improving the game, which means you are going to have to be the villain sometimes and say no to people's ideas. And take it from me, there is no worse feeling in the world than telling someone who is passionate about something, this is a great idea, but this just isn't right. Because deep down, it feels like you're crushing someone's passion and dreams. However, accept that you are going to have to make some tough calls, even if people won't forgive you for it. And I'm really bad at this because I just want everyone to get along and make games and have a good time. So here's some tips on how to approach this. To lead, you need to possess lots of soft skills, but it really just comes down to your communication style. This is a very people-centric ability, and without a team, you cannot develop it. So get a pulse when communicating with your team and start small. One way of approaching this is giving some genuine praise and appreciation. Thank you so much for all the work on the layouts that you did this sprint. It's really been helpful seeing it all come together. Remember, be genuine. Then ask if they might want something a bit tougher over the course of development. If they do, and sometimes they do, communicate your expectations and concerns. I need you to start taking initiative and getting feedback on these layouts earlier so that we have time to iterate. But remember, be specific. You must find a balance of being both encouraging and critical. Then, over time, you will find that you can give more difficult feedback. And a really important lesson that I've learned regarding this balance is leading with other people. I found another lead was incredibly supportive and encouraging, always incredibly positive, but struggled to speak up on expectations and asking others to take responsibility. So I found myself adapting and being more critical and speaking up on the issues more often, and being more demanding as a result, which made me very hard to please. Do not do this. Find the right balance within yourself and try to maintain it. And yes, an excellent communicator is all about clearly articulating the reasoning behind your decisions. And design documentation is a great way to do this. Design documentation is incredibly important over the duration of development, showing vision, references, wireframe, rules, feedback, and lots more. Good design documents are so important and are used to guide everyone to review and collaborate over the time that the game is developed. So yes, remember that having a balanced communication style and excellent documentation will bring out the best in your team. Sounds like a lot of work and responsibility, huh? Why on earth would you want to take the lead? Because it's the best way to truly grow and mature, both as a designer and a person. And through showing others you know how to lead, instead of just focusing on small features or games, you transition to mentoring other designers to cultivate creativity and build a legacy. When you focus on the ability to lead, you create an environment where you and your colleagues can use your imagination and enjoy each other's company doing so. This is the ultimate reward, and again ties all the way back to the ability to trust. Because when you help others succeed, then you can leave proud of the work and the influence that you've had on others. But remember what I said at the start of this, I don't want to lead anymore. I can't handle all of this chaos. Well, that's because leading is incredibly difficult. You can feel like everything is your fault. You feel like you're letting not only the players down, but the team down because you're misleading them. So it is important to acknowledge that this additional responsibility demands self-empathy, which takes us to the next ability, the ability to rest. You will not succeed at everything, especially when expectations are so high, and take it from me, you are going to overdo it in order to meet those expectations. It will blur the lines between work and life. Juniors, you may find yourself working more because you're inexperienced, and seniors, you might feel pressured to set higher standards and also train others. Looking back, I am confident that regardless of your seniority, you will find yourself pushing your limits. And people, we're not robots. We have good days, we have bad days. We have bad months, we have bad years, and we are all different and have different limits. And it is important that you know yours. The signs can be very subtle at first. Not sleeping, becoming antisocial, aggressive, defensive, exhausted. You might feel like you're just getting on with it and that's just work. But I'm telling you, if you cannot rest and you cannot switch off, you are going to crash. And I have to confess, I have put myself through this. What's worse is that you're going to make lots of mistakes, which is a natural thing in design. However, in this condition and this perspective, it will turn even the simplest mistakes into catastrophic failures. And these awful feelings are going to be further multiplied because we have responsibilities outside of work putting pressure on us, like family, finances, and relationships. We all have battles that we're fighting. So, what do you do? And looking back on this, I've been given lots of different advice, both good and some bad, but really it comes down to a choice. And that is to choose your needs first. Choose to set some boundaries at work, practice some healthy routines, and most importantly, choose a new perspective on what it means to succeed in design. And people, we're game designers. We love meaningful choices, so let's make some for ourselves. A really meaningful choice is choosing to set boundaries with work. This sounds obvious. However, in truth, I think we're all struggling with this because we're passionate about our work and we can be reached anywhere at any time. We check our emails and our messages late into the night and the first thing in the morning when we wake up. If you're feeling it's becoming too overwhelming with work chats, emails, or socials, choose to disconnect and silence them. You need to choose your needs over others and put your energy into living a life of your own. And speaking about life, go outside, find a hobby, read a book, do something, anything that is completely outside of work that you enjoy. Once again, you are choosing not to dwell on all the stresses of work and get a positive outlook on life. And most importantly, you need to make the choice that your worth is not tied to your output. You are a person first and a designer second, and you need to stop comparing yourself to others or feeling ashamed for failing to make those mistakes. So, to recap, the ability to trust is developed by being honest with yourself and each other in order to grow together. The ability to adapt is keeping flexible and knowing to make the right changes. The ability to lead is taking responsibility by balancing expectations and support and helping the team to deliver their best. And the ability to rest is what makes it all sustainable through self-empathy and self-compassion. Now I want to leave you with this and asking yourself, how are you growing trust? How are you adapting to change? Why are you adapting to change? Are you leading? And how are you finding the time to give yourself a much needed break? Is there something that you want to work on? You could be vulnerable and share with others, iterate your ideas after getting feedback, or taking the charge and inviting a new friend for a coffee. Be brave, start small, but please start. Because when you are working on these abilities, then you're not just surviving game design, you're winning at it. Thank you for listening to me. There's Q&A. I don't know if anyone actually has any questions. Okay, yep. Oh, yep.
Hey Chris, how's it going? Good talk. A question of like a scenario type thing. If you've worked with someone and you feel the trust is falling apart, what steps would you take to try and build it back up again?
Man, that is a tough one. Yeah. What steps would I take to actually start rebuilding trust with someone that's actually, broken that trust? Or if you've broken that, they've broken that trust with you, or if you've broken that trust with them? Oh, man, you've just got to be vulnerable and step up. I mean, it takes courage, and it takes looking at yourself and saying, okay, I screwed up, or having the empathy to know that you're not perfect and that you made a mistake, or having enough empathy for the other person to say they've made the mistake. And it's important to talk about it and express how you feel and listen to how the other person feels, and then agree that you have different perspectives and that you apologize, and ultimately you both just want to move on. And you still want to focus on either making games or working together collaboratively. I think that's the right approach to do it. Yeah. Anyone else? Oh, damn it. Thank you. That's all right. I'm not really good at answering questions on the spot.
That's okay. I got a question for you regarding rest. Do you have any particular techniques for helping get yourself into a restful state, turning off that design brain?
Yeah, I think when it comes to design, we have a natural inclination to always overthink or think about things outside of work. I mean, inspiration can sometimes hit us in the darndest of places. So I think the right thing to do is actually catch yourself. If you find yourself actually thinking about work, if you're staying up late at night, you can't go to sleep and you're thinking about work because of design changes or things that you just need to get done, or you're starting to think creatively, in that particular instance, I would say write it down and then let it go. That would probably be like the right approach to do it, because ultimately your body is just trying to have the idea, think about it, and then you just want to get it out of your system. And then once you get it out of your system, then I think you can actually let go and focus on something else. So I think that's probably the approach. Maybe not the right approach, but a good one. Yeah.
It sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, thank you so much for coming to my talk, everyone.